Hey guys, what's up? So today I'm going to be discussing two different topics. The first topic is how come serial killers or just normal villains or bad guys, if you will, so intelligent, or rather, if they're intelligent, why are they bad guys? Like it was an idea that I've been kind of tossing around in my head for a little while, so I just wanted to share my thoughts on it with you guys since, well, that seems to be sort of entertaining to you. So basically, what I'm wondering is if they're so smart, why do they decide or why do they think it's okay that they should go and screw someone over or take someone's life, if you will? Now, I think the first step is, well, not the first step, but the first thing that they process is the idea of one of the seven deadly sins, pride. And so basically, they believe that they are above everyone else because of either their intellect or their occupation or their relationship or just whatever. They just think they're above everyone, in some sort of way, which basically leads to not really them being a judge, but thinking they should be the, well, yeah, really, well, yeah, they should become the judge, the jury, and the executioner. You know, they like because if you take serial killers, if you will, basically, they are people who kill, but only for certain causes, whether it's like a race or an age or a sex or an occupation, or maybe they just you maybe there's like someone that they don't like, and they just decide that they're going to kill everyone else by those same exact specifications. I don't know which ones. I'm just throwing out some ideas here, but I mean, basically that's what that is. So they believe that they themselves, instead of either waiting for these people to receive justice, or not just receive justice, but as in like what is it? Not receive justice, but simply it's just their duty to do it or whatever. Because usually these are people who, in serial killers' mind, they're not guilty, at least they're innocent in the ways they haven't broken the law. Now maybe it might be like a self not self sin, like maybe they smoke, maybe they drink alcohol, maybe maybe they don't flush the toilet after they go bathroom. I don't know, but the serial killer just believes that, hey, it's his duty or his or her duty to carry out their own sort of punishments. Now, now another thing that I'm thinking of is if they're so smart, why do they think it's a good idea for them to carry out the idea? Or not just that, but if they're so smart, what makes them think that it's a good idea to try and take a human life? Now, I'm thinking that's probably more of their idea of, like, it'll help the economy, or it'll maybe help the society. It'll just help in general, so they think it's a good idea that they should do that. Or they just believe that, the person. Sorry, I'm trying to watch. I'm also watching this too because it's actually kind of entertaining. Uh, they just believe that, hey, because I'm above everyone else, I can just simply do that. Because there are also serial killers that just kill, like, just because, and like if the time is right or it's a good idea, they will. But, I mean, that's just the sort of idea or thought process that I believe might go on in their mind. Obviously, there's a lot more, like maybe there's a traumatic experience, or post traumatic stress, or, revenge, or just a lot of other factors that play into it. But I mean, that's one of my ideas, or of how come they, like, are that, are willing to do that, Now, the second idea is a little harder for me to think of, or not think of, but explain, because in my mind, there's actually quite a lot to get into it, and of course, I don't have a script. I should write a script, but for some reason I don't. But basically, it refers to nihilism and depression. Now, as I've said before, or in my nihilism video, I believe that nihilism and depression are very closely alike, or akin, if you will. Because severe cases of depression play into that sort of idea. Now, depression is very interesting. When, yeah, I mean, it is in psychological terms because well, there are very different cases of depression. There's different types that simply you feel down because maybe a certain death or a loss, or maybe you like failed a test, just something that mattered a lot to you, and maybe you didn't get it. Maybe it died. Maybe someone else took it. I don't know, but I mean, those are usually the smaller cases of depression where it's not really anything that matters too much, but it just gets you down once in a while. And those are usually the cases that is sort of most common, or if you will, or like people understand the easiest because there's not too much to try to understand. It's pretty straightforward. You simply feel down. Now, there's the other case of depression, which I believe is called clinical depression, and it's the more stereotypical type, a little hard to understand, but not by much. Where basically it talks about, um, it's basically the first depression I explained on a higher level, such as well, there's lots of symptoms, but or side effects to it, but basically it's a loss in activities that uh used to be pleasurable or interesting to you. There's also, what is there? Mood swings. Wait, no, that's a different type, but it still plays into it. And let's see here. There could be not sleep apnea. Loss of sleep or oversleeping. Um, loss of shoot. Sorry, guys. It's been a while since I've read the like explanation of it, but basically, it's in a nutshell a higher or deeper version of the first depression, and a lot more. I don't know. Should I say dangerous? It's not exactly dangerous, but I mean it can be because no, it's not. Well, psychologically it's dangerous, but physically it's not really because that sort of depression doesn't really play into the suicidal idea, or at least in my mind it doesn't, because it focuses more on basically like living life as an empty shell. You know, you're simply a robot, just, or maybe not just a robot, but simply just a being there to exist. And and in my mind, that's a little worse than depression. I mean, not depression, suicidal thoughts, because in suicide, you want to end it. Whereas in this, well, you don't even think about ending it. You simply just don't even think at all. Oh, another thing is that you start to think in circles. Like, you just have these reoccurring thoughts that go over and over. And there's another factor to it that I sort of thought of, that has very high terms of nihilism connected to it, because basically, well, if you think like that, or if you experience that sort of depression, clinical depression, and it's that bad, where you simply lose like interest in everything that you do, and you know, start having circle thoughts and sleep apnea. Why do we keep saying sleep apnea? No, I mean sleep loss and or oversleeping, and all those side effects. Well, it basically makes you start thinking, what's the point of life? Or in my idea, it's more of like, what's the point of living now? Even though I know later on in life that I will have better cases, or better life. Because it's like that idea of delaying pleasure until now, and so you can like get okay. Sorry, I'm really distracted by this guy. I hated him. I literally had to leave the game because he just screwed everything up. But no, I mean, basically, it's the idea of delaying pleasure now so later you can enjoy life. or have a better life, you know? But the problem with this is that you're basically not even living at all. It's not just delaying pleasure um, it's not just delaying pleasure or delaying what you want. It's basically just not living at all for the entire time until you can get what it is that you're trying to achieve. But if you do have clinical depression and you're trying to do that sort of mindset, the problem is that, well, you're basically, shoot, sorry, yeah, I told you this would be a little hard to explain, and it's a lot harder to explain now than just thinking in my mind since I don't have a script. But basically, it's like short-term nihilism, I think was the expression I gave for it. I don't know if there's actually any true studies or classifications of it. I didn't research it that much, but basically, it's like why live now, but then you, oh, shoot, sorry, yeah, it's basically why should you be alive now, even though you know you're going to have a way better life if you, in say like a couple years, or like a decade or something, it's the idea of delaying pleasure now so later you can have pleasure. But the problem with that idea is that, well, if you're always delaying pleasure, then you'll never get pleasure. And that's really what it comes down to, is that it just makes you always never trying to be satisfied in life because you fear that later in life you never will be satisfied. It's like that sort of idea where if you try to avoid the prophecy, you'll make it come true or something like that. That's just that sort of idea. So basically, uh, there's one of these main people about who are associated with nihilism. This guy called Nietzsche. One of the ways or a way that no, not way. He called nihilism basically a disease, which is a very fair what's the word, assumption of nihilism, because I mean, you know, uh, depression is a disease, and in having nihilism, you get depression. So it turns into a disease in huge ways. I mean, just really interesting, but yeah, I couldn't really explain the video very well because I don't really know I didn't have a script to look at, so it makes it a little hard to truly explain it, since I usually just say what comes to mind. I usually have some sort of thought process, but not that much. But I mean, yeah, alright, I think I'll end the video here, guys. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Push notifications if you want more content like this, whatever it may be. And yeah, catch you on the flip side.